So yeah, welcome for Artist Talk of Sanskar Virtual Dance Festival. We have today Edivaldo Ernesto. I hope I'm saying your name right. He's born in Mozambique. Please correct me wrong, Eddie. He's born in Mozambique and he had quite a journey. Now he's based in Berlin, but working internationally, traveling all around the world, teaching, doing projects, performance, and etc. etc. So today we have Edivaldo to answer a few questions and just have a little talk together. Hello, Eddie.
Hey, hi, Rakesh.
Hello. Okay, so I thought maybe because I don't know really, let's say a little more detail of your journey, like how you arrived to where you are today. And you can talk about coming from Mozambique, how it started, your dance, where it started, and also your technique that you're busy with and stuff like that. But not too long. We try to compile it in a few minutes.
Yeah. I mean, it's quite a long story that I have, but I mean, I will try to resume it. I basically, I mean, I come from Mozambique, and I started with a dance around 98. So that was my first encounter, and it was the traditional dances from Mozambique. And I did that for about 3 years, 3 or 4, if I recall it right. And then I got a little bit bored on repeating those dances because they are kind of like, like you learn them and then you only have to do, them. And suddenly I changed it to traditional dances from West Africa. And so that I left the traditional dances from Mozambique. That was the next jump that I had. And after that, I think 2 years later, I met contemporary dance. And I started by looking at videos and learning from videos. I never had really a chance to get into a school or finding a teacher that could pass information. So I was like looking at videos from companies and like some other artists that I didn't know the name. It was mainly images that I was learning from. And in one of the videos that I saw, it was Zoo, the company of Thomas Howard. And I remember that I liked Matt Wurter, how he was moving in there. So he was sort of like my inspiration. I was trying to move the same way that he moves. And then from there on, I started to go a bit farther than that. And after that, I mean, Matt and Zambrano went to Mozambique. They were teaching in a program that was about, I think was 3 months, something like this. I don't recall it right. But I mean, they were there for a very long time, and I didn't know that was Matt, the one that I was looking at the videos and etc. And a friend of mine just reminded me that he was him, and I got so happy, that I met him. But also, the biggest thing happened because when I was working in the studio with Zambrano, we were initially, I think, having a flying low, and then passing through started. And there is where I thought, okay, I found, the thing that I was looking for, like connecting to the reason I left the traditional dances from Mozambique. You see, so the passing through was a game that you could always innovate. You could always, do something new, improvisation in general. So once I found improvisation, I thought, okay, I think I got into the field that I was looking for. And then I remember at the end of this program, Zambrano tells me, if I have a lot of money, I will invite you to come and join a project in Amsterdam. And I thought he was joking. I thought, no, this is never going to happen. And then at the end of like that same year, I think that was 2004. So he said, he sent me an email, and until then I didn't believe until I had the visa and the flight ticket. So, and then that was my first arrival to Europe, 2004, and working with Zambrano in a production called 12 Flies Went Out at Noon. and it was based on passing through also an improvisation.
Nice, 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 nice. So so you said that you learned through videos. Like, where did you find these videos?
They were artists that went to Mozambique before, and in fact, there was a big project happening in Mozambique, and I think it was Maputo, Portugal, and Belgium, and they were like choreographers that went there. I think 5 choreographers, and Thomas Howard was one of them. This is how I think these videos arrived in there. And I was working with one person that was in the production that Thomas created, the piece that Thomas created. And that's how I got to see the video.
Yeah. So you would take this video, go with your friends into the studio and start copying, or you just do it by yourself? Or?
We interesting, like now at that time, I don't know now, at that time we did not have televisions or DVDs or what do you call that? The VHS, yeah. We didn't have that in the studios. I mean, that was too expensive. We were very happy already to have a wooden dance, floor. Like, because that was also not possible. Basically, like the studios were like concrete, and then you have like a carpet that is on top of it. And we usually would train like that. So we would meet in the person, Benedito, that's his name. We would meet at his place. We would see the videos in there, and then we would go to the studio. So memory.
It's fantastic.
Yeah, it was
amazing. Yeah. Okay. So you came to Europe and you worked with David, and if I can kind of say what would have happened later, that you started studying more deeper into flying low, passing through an improvisation with David, and now you also work with Sasha Waltz since a while, no? So you are kind of part of her company also. Okay, cool. So nice to hear your journey, and it's great that you also mentioned about video, because the reason we have this interview is that I think I mentioned to you already in the phone, but I remind once again, is that Sanskar is a festival that we did already first edition in India. It's an international festival, but because of during the COVID period that we all were at home and we were like, okay, what to do next? You kind of think about everything. Then we came with this idea of running a virtual dance festival. And the aim is actually to give an opportunity for people from all over the world in an equal way to show their work. Because as you know, coming from Mozambique, or I'm assuming because I come from India, in order for you to, if you create something interesting, in order for you to put that in the international platform, at least from India, it's really almost impossible. You need to have a lot of contacts, and meet the right people, you need to have money for the creation. It's a lot of complication. So hence we as Sanskar is trying to create this platform virtually, because nowadays it becomes much easier to organize something like that virtual, because everybody has a phone, internet, and so we can actually do something so people can easily show their artwork, even if it's a short piece, like if the piece is going to be between 4 to 8 minutes, but you can put yourself out there, so we can explore artists from all around the world, and everybody's seen each other in the same platform, So that's the reason we are here to talk about. So we have this couple of lines, and one line is art keeps us going, and second line is now you keep us going. So I'm going to elaborate the first line a little bit more, and then you can just speak from what you feel. Yeah. So art keeps us going. How I see this is that, like, when we are going through some sort of difficulties in life, let's say it could be maybe the fact that you come from some part of the world where things are very difficult to continue your art, or maybe now we had this pandemic where everybody was just stuck at home, or so when we are in this kind of crisis situation or difficult situation, how does art keeps you going? How do you use your art, your dancing or your performance?
I mean, for me, it's memory, like that, just for the fact that I know that few things still exist out there, like at least the motivation doesn't really drop. And then the hope that things will get better. And so like, we know that for a lot of artists, lots of things are not in, like they're not stable. We're sort of in a survival situation with that. But like, if I think of it, and I tell myself, what can I do, to make it still continue or to make it going, is the answer is stay there. Because if I quit, if I go away, then like I will not make it better, because I'm not there. So for me, like, the hope is one of the things that drives me, and then also memory, because if we look at in past, there are some great things that has happened. We have been in a workshop, we have met a lot of great dancers, we have collaborated with a lot of great dancers. And so, that memory, I look forward to encounter also in a different way. So even if, there's injuries, there's like some like bad connections with other artists or festivals, like the memory of the good thing, still helps to make the new connections and etc. And of course, the biggest one is hope. And with the pandemic, a lot of artists lost a lot of jobs, and we were, in like homes, and we couldn't move. And me personally also, I thought, okay, if I just stay here and do nothing, I will not help me, and I won't also help, the whole community. So I had to commit to sort of like training, program for myself that would help me, that once everything gets back to normal, then I'm, I'm back to the routine, and then also like getting inspiration from other artists and also inspire them.
Mm. No, I think it's great, hope and memory, because somehow, you was speaking about learning dance through your video. So somehow it was already there for you, in a way that you always work with your memory. And also hope, the fact that, with this, you can go somewhere. It's really beautiful what you said about that. So for example, that you have this track of journey, and that there's also a lot of other people behind you, let's say in Mozambique, or not just Mozambique, like people coming from similar kind of background who would like to, go out there, develop something, travel the world, share what they have researching and performing. But for them, it's not really so easy. Let's say, you have somehow you manage the path, and not for everybody, right? So what would you tell them in this kind of moment? Like, what would be a message?
You keep doing what, like what you have been doing, and if it doesn't really take you to a place that you expected to be, like just, look what were the reasons you did not get in there, and fix those, and then, keep moving forward. So I would say, like, even like if you don't really have good conditions, you can still like access few videos here and there, and I know that is not enough, but then you're still doing something. So I wanted also to say that it's not easy for any of us in a way, because like even for me, like that I'm here in Europe now, I'm still dealing with a lot of difficulties, and maybe not in the level that they are encountering the difficulties. And also I know that people that are more higher, that are like with much bigger productions, and they have a more complicated schedule, they also have issues. So each part, there is a bit of difficulties that people encounter. Like for me in particular, for people, I would even say the dancers that are in Africa, I would say if you have a small room or you have your garden, you have little space that you can do something, go there and do it. And then maybe, or if we meet, the result of that work will be showing in there. And perhaps I will say, wow, that's a good artist, that's a good dancer. And, and then I will be interested in inviting the person or in collaborating with the person. But that is because, the person has been doing, his stuff or her stuff. So that, whenever the moment arrives, you are ready to present everything that you've been working on. And and I just hope that there would be a lot of more places that could also help, the communities that they cannot afford to, pay for visas and then, buy plane tickets and etc. But so far, if you don't have those possibilities, I always believe that there is another branch that you can pull it and then you can make things happen. Sometimes you don't really need amazing conditions to create incredible work. And sometimes, you actually need those conditions to make a brilliant work. But yeah, what my message would say, you just keep on working. If you really love this dance and you're committed to it, work it. Just keep on performing it. Like you train, you make it better. Whatever it is that you want to or you're working on, just make it even better.
Great. So now I go to the second one, which is that now you keep us going. Mm-hmm. So the context for us is that, for example, if I can assume from your life that at one point David met you and then he said, okay, I try to bring you to Holland, and so you went there for the project, and I don't know what happened after that, but there was somebody, like it happened for me in personal life also, that at some point there was this little angels or people that they come and give you this little push or take you to a place and stuff, and we feel like without that we actually would have been where we are or cannot continue. So my question for you is that now in this context of now you keep us going, is that what is that Edivaldo Ernesto think of giving back to the community or inspiring or supporting or helping? What do you think this idea? Do you do something personally in that context, or what is your opinion about it?
What I would offer, what I would offer to people that are interested in knowing what is my line of thoughts or movement or creativity is like things that I can do and also things that I cannot do. That I can, that because I believe that I'm not a God that can do everything, So like, and there are people that do things way much better than me, but sometimes they cannot access those things. They need another external eye in order to get into that. And this is one thing that I focus more into giving to people that come closer. I say a lot also, when I'm in the studio, I give you my soul. So there's no like one little part that I'm gonna hide. I'm just like giving you everything possible, like until the very last limit. And if we have 1 week of training, the same thing. Like from Monday until the Friday, I will be there. And then like in the show performance also, I like to also think that every time I enter in the studio or on stage, I will just go with everything as if it's the last show that I have. And I would not accumulate it for tomorrow. You see, like, there's no holding back. So this is the spirit that I try to pass it to everybody that comes closer. Like how, how far they can continue going with, their thing, like tools, to move in like different ways. You see, so my primarily goal when someone comes, it's just like giving the person who I am, and then allow them to understand that they can be more than what I am. They can be more than what they think they are also. And pretty much also breaking that idea of, like, I am just like this. There's like a lot of personalities or characters inside of one soul, one energy, So just to make, people understand that. And like this, like you keep creating, like there's more room for creativity. Yeah, basically, I would say, shortly, that would be.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no, beautiful. Because I meet people coming from a workshop, and they always come with like this big eye, and at the same time they're completely like,
Yeah,
because I see that it's entered into them in one or the other way,
Yeah.
So it radiates.
Yeah, there is one student that was in the workshop, and we were three. There was another student that asked me, so how is it, your training? And then I was about to answer, and then the other student said, basically, you die at the end of the day, and then in the morning you're born again. I said, yeah, you can describe that way. It's definitely, I ask you to give everything you have it, and then like the more like you generate, the more you see what you can offer also the next day. So
yeah,
there is that part that people come with a bit more like, oh, we have things, but wow, our energy is just gone.
completely gone.
Yeah.
So now, so one next question question would be, is that because Sanskar is actually, like I said, it's a global platform, because we have people working from many different parts of the world together. And it's not one center-oriented idea. It's not like, okay, the work is happening only in Europe, or no, we are trying to really spread all around. So really inviting people from, I don't know, China, South America. So we all like see this in an international platform. So as I know that you travel a lot by especially teaching, takes you quite a lot around, and also sometimes, I guess, performing also. What is your experience encountering artists in those countries? Like, do you see any similarities between art, let's say, as a student, a dancer in Europe, or even within Europe, there's so much variety, and South America, North America to Asia? Do you see any difference in them? And also, what are the different struggles that people are going through in different parts of the world? I'm sure people in Europe have some struggles versus somebody in South America or Africa. What do you see in that way?
Yeah. If I forget one subject of, because that question involves a lot of things, and if I forget one part, can you please remind me? Let's say, like, talking about similarities, there is a tendency that like, if there is one type of technique, you see that when that technique gets super popular, there's a tendency that it travels all over the communities, and then it just stays in there, and like, people tend to just pick up that and then make that the dance of of the world. It's like like, I would say the one that I mostly have encountered is the modern dance. You see, like, the influence of modern dance in many places is still like very strong. And I remember, like, I would say China has that. And then, like, when I went to Canada, I could also feel it. I've never been in India, but in other places in Europe also, I also felt it. In the United States also. So this is where, like, you know, like you can sense that, oh, all right, there's like one technique that has, you know, a spread, and then, you know, it makes most of the artists or dancers, you know, believe that that's the, you know, that's dance, you know. But also, because it also goes to the TVs, and so, you know, it's more spread. Like in the opposite side, you like, I go to those same places and I see very minimum the potential that they have to be much bigger than just modern dance because of the cultures. You see, so like if I arrive in Brazil, you know, like, and I see the rhythm that they have, all that, you know, culture that is around them, the noise and all this stuff, you know, I go like, wow, why are you still doing, you know, modern dance? I don't understand. You know, it's like, can you please change this? You know, like you have more information than this. And also when, you know, you go to, I was many times in China also, right? And I see, you know, like what they can do. And I'm like, why are you doing still the traditional dance? You know, like, because they also have that beautiful traditional dance and the modern dance from China. And I'm like, but you're looking similar. You see, all of you're looking sort of like the same. But, you know, can you break this line? And once they start breaking, that's when you see, you know, like fruits pumping out that you don't have names. You know, you see colors that you don't have names for those colors coming out. And you like, you see, this is what we're talking about right now in the contemporary dance field, that, you know, we need it. We need those varieties to, you know, to shine a bit more. And they have, like, I see the dancers, you know, from Mozambique and other parts of Africa. I'm like, whoa, we have it, you know, like we have it. We just need to, you know,
Continue.
take it much farther. And then also to mention, I don't know now very much nowadays, but back, I think at least 3 or 5 years ago, there was a tendency to have a very similar line in a contemporary dance style, right? In movements in Africa. I would say Africa, that big continent. You see, like, instead of like each country in Africa, I have to say that again, each country, because nowadays I hear Africa as if it was a country.
Mm.
So like if each country, you know, like in Africa would still, you know, like understand their cultures, you know, and then make their work based on their environment, or even also connected to the other countries, but, you know, like really understand their surrounding more than, you know, like having a copy and paste from, like, you know, TV, or like, the dance that has been created maybe, like, I would say in Europe or in America, in the United States, you know. Also, like, I would say about like Mexico, because I also go there quite often. I mean, I've been also in Costa Rica and in Argentina, and still, you know, like I could feel that influence. However, Mexico, I think, has a bit more influence of the, you know, like big names, the big companies in Europe, which still, you know, it goes back again to, you know, that idea of like, can you understand, you know, the colors that Mexico has, the cultures, the parties that they have, you know, like their mentality, and just build something based on that, you know. I mostly would say that there is a tendency that, you know, the artists or dancers, you know, are getting, you know, to be similar because of the popularity of maybe even a company, you know. So then that happens, but at the same time, there are those who are trying to still, you know, break that. But yeah, of course, that's not like really the majority. You know, if the majority would do it, I think, we would be.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. That makes total sense. And also, like, for example, when you look at it now, like the people who is out there trying to do something and kind of become a little more popular among people are the people who is finding something through their own culture or through their own voice, because they start to become more and more unique in that sense, no?
Yeah, you see, this is also like one of the parts of the workshop that I passed is you coming to me and you're gonna get some information. But my goal is not for the people to just stay with that information. You see, you take that information, go home and start doing things with it. Like in the studio, if you're with me, you're gonna have to follow some rules. But then when you're at home, they have to remember that they're free to break those rules. That material is theirs. They pay for it. Like people pay for the workshop. And then once you get out of the workshop, use that thing, that you paid for it. And then you transform it. It's not to do, the thing that like I'm passing and, you just take it and then you do exactly like, like you copy and paste.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things that, automatically makes us, sort of like getting that similarity. But however, there's one thing that I also would like to mention is that if you have a teacher, for example, right? I am one of the dancers in the world that the education came from Zambrano, right? Like, I mean, everything that I learned from the beginning, even until nowadays, if I'm lost, I call him, I'm like, yeah, I advise and etc. Zambrano and Sasha Waltz as well, because I was there for a very long time. So like, I would talk mainly about Zambrano. If you started with Zambrano, automatically you and I will have some similarities in how to approach movements and maybe even, art itself. So if there's some philosophies we will be sharing, so like here, like we are still, I would say we're still okay, but there's one part that, we also understood, because this is also one thing that he also shares a lot, that you learn from him and then go transform, and then like you said, oh yeah, like the artists that are today being recognized out there, they're the artists that, they took things and they transformed, like they understood also their cultures and they make things based on, you see, so like that's not so much different than having a teacher passing you information and you just taking information and then boom, taking somewhere else. So that I find it quite similar format. And the only part is when we start, like thinking, oh yeah, this is the thing, this is the right thing. And I don't like to believe that, such a thing actually exists,
Yeah. So I come to the last kind of part, one more your opinion about the current world, because there is this kind of reluctant towards people towards virtuality. Like nowadays, now we are in the virtual world, and of course some people are like, oh, I don't like it, it's too much, there's lots of things going on that I don't understand, and it's too much of virtuality, which I totally understand. I'm also a person like that. But at the same time, because we cannot compare reality versus virtuality, I believe it's totally another world. You cannot compare them, because once you start comparing them, of course it's not the same. But at the same time, now you spoke about when you were young, there was a chance to get rid of a videos, right? And you could see it, like people coming from different part of the world, when they want to keep up their quality of work high, they need to be able to access information, and these tools actually nowadays can be provided that, for example, we spoke about having a common theme all around the world, a common technique. Of course, I relate to it a lot, because when I'm young, I thought that if I have to do contemporary dance, I need to learn this and these things, and I have to be good at it. But after a long time going to different places, meeting different people, then I start questioning what makes me unique, and how can I stand out? How can I present something that is interesting back to the community, back to the dance scene? Hence, you start reflecting yourself. And I believe like having to have this world where, you know, you see information out there, it's much more easiest action, easier accessibility. So nobody's controlling the information, because the information cannot be controlled anymore. Knowledge cannot be controlled anymore. Everything is out there. So my question is that, like, what do you think about virtuality? Your opinion about it? Now, I also know that you, with your work, you use it a lot, and also like projects like this, you know, where we are trying to do things to kind of support people to show their work. What is your opinion about it? How do you see it as this virtual world?
Yeah, I think, to be more direct, I think it's good, but at the same time, it's not good. Yeah. Like, I mean, you notice when you enter in the train and you see like all wagon, you know, the old wagon on the train, everybody's just looking at the screen, you know, that looks weird. And but on the other side is also really nice, because, you know, if people in Africa can't do a workshop with Rakesh, they can see at least, you know, one video, and they can have a bit of idea. Of course, it's completely different that if you have Rakesh in front of you. There you're getting information. I mean, you're getting a lot more details, and not only like in a physical, but in an energetic way. You see, so that is one thing that, you know, makes it a little bit like, oh yeah, it's nice, but it's not nice in a way. However, like, for example, like we have this, we had this pandemic that is running now, and we had to be quarantined, right? Everybody isolated and etc. So you see, that format is something that, you know, would help the people still, you know, connect with one another. Yeah, I must say, I didn't even know that, you know, this Zoom thing existed, you know, because I was busy in getting in touch, you know, and then in the, you know, during the confinement, you know, I learned that, you know, there are platforms that you can connect with more than one people and etc. You know, I've seen classes happening online, which, you know, kept the contemporary dance somehow running, you know. So like, I think it's a great idea, even the project that you're doing right now, as much as, you know, it doesn't get too much into the head of the people that this is the thing and we avoid contact, you know, it still works. As much as, I would say, as long as, you know, projects that, you know, are connected to the virtual world, I can still remind the people that proximity is, you know, it's important. Then I think we are doing a good work, you know. Like, I use it, as you mentioned, I use it a lot because, you know, some people just can't really have it in the mail box. You know, you can't just send it to a letter saying, yeah, I am, you know, this is the workshop, and, you know, and imagine now. So like, you know, most of the things now, you know, they want to see it. You know, people say, send the video. You know, your CV is not longer important. I mean, it is important, but it's not just, you know, it's not important as it was back in there. But yeah, so I'd say your project, for example, is one good thing that is happening right now. You know, it works. You know, you will keep people connecting. You know, you're hearing stories about artists, you know, that are doing things and where they came from. We also, what is their like perspectives regarding the actual subject, you know, nowadays, the world, and, you know, pandemics, wars, critical moments of venues, art, and etc. So there is good, but yeah, it's that thing that we need to remember, that, you know, we have to meet. You know, let's be in the studio, because that's another level. You know, like, I get to understand you much better, you know, if I am close to you than far away. I love to post a video of, like, I would say, of myself to inspire people. And when I also scroll down the mobile phone or the computer to see what other artists are doing, so that I can get inspired. You know, you enter on Instagram, and then you see, Linda Kapetanea, she's like there training, and you're like, oh, okay, Linda today did the training. So, and then, there's Horacio Makwakwa, and then he calls in and says, hey, I'm going to get into the gym now, and, I'm doing a training. And then you're like, okay, 2 people are doing the training, so I got to do something, because, great people that you collaborate with, like they're there. And then, you scroll down and you see, oh, Rakesh is giving a workshop now for 3 people, and then you're like, oh, yeah, okay, Rakesh is on, he's active, so it's that from home, so the virtual world is also helping in a way. But as I mentioned, I cannot imagine, like 20 people just like this, and then the teacher on the other side, giving the class for 1 year. That's crazy.
That's crazy. That's too much.
Yeah, I also didn't do the online classes, for example, but I was very happy that some other teachers were doing that, and some people were even performing, online. I was like, yeah, this is great. It's just that for me, for example, the work that I have, I didn't really find a good format for the online. I tried to, enter in the world, but then I thought, no, the communication, the system that the class has for online, it won't work. Like maybe for the people that know a little bit, like the exercises, maybe they could access, but I don't think they also need me to do that. They just have to remember a few things and just go practice. But like in my view, I thought, I wanted to do it, but I don't want to do it in a bad way, Not that people were doing it in a bad way. People had, classes that did really work, and it was good, what they came out with. But mine, I thought, I tried to look for, branches, but it just didn't fit. So I thought, okay, I will just leave this one. And then I just keep on doing a few research, do workouts, and then prepare the body, and until they open the borders and the studios, and art goes back, dance goes back.
Mm-hmm. Good. No, of course, I totally agree with you. For example, one last thought that came into my mind, that, for example, like during this pandemic period, what was happening is that apparently, anyway, for artists to create something and to perform something was already difficult, and also to get audience, because audience are now, like you said, you go to a train and they're all in virtual world, and you go to a theater, you have not so much young people, it's only old people come and watch you, so I always question this dilemma, which is, man, in 20 years, who's our audience, because if these people pass away, then the youngsters are here. So then I also heard from a lot of people that they feel like they want to stop what they're doing, because what's the point of it? Because there's nobody's there to watch the shows, and they're not getting support, they're not getting any money, they're not making. So how is it going in Mozambique in this matter? Like how are people surviving with art? Do they have project money? Do they get projects? How do they do projects?
Yeah, I mean, Mozambique really doesn't have, not that they don't have, but they don't put money for the art. Like in order for the dance or like music to survive there, it's with support of European countries, and also maybe America, United States, or Canada, places like that. And like right now, they're like, they are like us. They are like, we are all the same. We are basically all in the same situation. Maybe some people that are a bit more prepared, to be a bit longer without work, but I'm sure that, like 6 months without work, without performances, it must be terrible. It must be crazy. And because there is no like really financial support also. Like I don't know so much about it, but I really don't think the government has, given money to artists. First, because also they don't really consider dance as a work. Like for them, dance is like probably, part-time thing, So yeah, I think, basically people are just, surviving. And I know even from the time that I was still living in Mozambique that I had that click on survivor mode. From the beginning, I thought that, yeah, you are an artist, you need to survive every small gig that you get. This is the thing. You just go there and do it really good, So I imagine that, they're trying to find ways to continue with a smaller portion of like what they had before. Like I've seen, there's a good friend, Edna Jaime from Mozambique. She has posted a solo, and I think she's gonna perform a TikTok also. I think so. And then a good friend of mine also, Idio, has posted something. So they are doing, but not like in the level that that you're doing here in Europe. Because also the internet there is also another issue. Like it's a country that has many difficulties, and it could be solved if the government would be a bit more supportive. Like I think we understand that money there is, but it's just that like you have governments that sometimes they just pull the money to their families, and then the country is in a bad shape, but they're like the richest, and you're like how is that possible? But one thing that I also want to mention is that I like in the way that we managed also to understand that regardless of the amount of people, you still go out there and you do the show. You still go out there and you give your workshop. I was in Ludwigsburg, like here in Germany, and I think I had 2 evenings of performance. And the first evening, there were less, I think, than 50 people, or maybe there were about 50 people, but it was in a square. And anyways, that square was designed to have only 100 people maximum, and with a huge separation. And it was the first time that I enter and I see that interval from one person to another in a huge square with less people. So it for me was a bit like, oh, okay, so do I get motivated now, or I just go like, yeah, small audience, so it doesn't matter. And I had Sasha Waltz. She comes to the dressing room and she says, there's not so many people, but remember, she gives that speech. Remember the subject. Remember that. Like you still can perform for a small amount of people. That kind of line. And I'm like, Sasha's the one that's telling me that. The one that usually performs. Her pieces, mostly crowded. It's like 800 people and etc. And it was nice receiving that feedback coming from her. Motivating, so that I understand that 20 people you can still perform. And then the second event was a bit more people. They were like, I think it was 100 people, but still you could feel the emptiness. And then like seeing that other artists have been teaching for 3 people online. And I know this because I can tell, because myself, if I go to the studio and I have 5 people, sometimes a bit like, okay, we're just 5. But then, like now it's good time so that we understand that 3, 4, you alone in the studio, 10, 20, 50, 70, it works. You just go there and you put your spirit in and, keep on going. My thing right now, like with Mozambique, also, in fact, the whole Africa, is to try to help, artists that, are really commit to the dance, to come and study in some schools in Europe. I had, I was speaking also with the director of Salzburg Academy, and she was like, where are the African dancers? I'm looking for them. And then I said, I will recommend it. I try to find people that, are carrying a talent, and, they are really willing to give their life into this community to support, like the cultures, and art and dance to still go. So, yeah.
Good, great. Well, thank you, Edivaldo. It was amazing conversation, a lot of amazing words and inspirational stuff. For sure, I will continue going and training. And now, But is there anything that you want to say before we end?
Yeah, I wanted to say that like I think what is happening, I would say even like from like in the last 5 or even in the whole decade, it's a good learning for a lot of people. But also mention artists, the dance world. I think we have collected enough subjects that we can express. There's like a huge racism problem in the world, and like reasons that you don't really get it. Like you're like, seriously, is that necessary right now? And and this is the time that I think we should even emphasize, a bit more of those subjects. Also, like, the women's rights, the house domestic abuses, all this stuff. They are out there happening, and I think we need to be a bit more strong and make sure that there are rules for this stuff. And art, dance, like it's one of the things that can translate, that can bring to the audience and educate the people, And I think this is like the moment where like all of us artists, we should protect, each other as artists, and also other people, other subjects, because we have, at the moment, a room for it. I'm not saying that it's a lot of rooms. I wish we could have more venues and more companies, more financial help, like not only in Africa or not only in Europe, not only in Asia or in America, and continent America, not just, United States, that we could have a bit more room, because there is a lot of education in there, and there's messages that, we pull to transmit to the population. And I mean, as far as I'm still here, I will definitely believe that art is very important. It really tells a lot. And the dance is my passion, and I find it really, really important. So this is what I could add. Like, let's try to, communicate to people and, re-educate the people, especially about this racism thing. I think people really have to start re-educating themselves, in understanding that, at least like people with colors, Black people, or, Latino, South America people, they are not dangerous by default, So it's one thing that I would pass it.
It's almost, I mean, it's all like, for example, when we go to this festival, the Tebre Danza, one thing what I was noticing from this many years is that there are 200 people that is coming from different part of the world.
Yeah.
There is Israeli, there's somebody from Palestine, an Indian from Pakistan, and you have this really people that is otherwise would fight, but they have this joy, they're dancing together.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there it's just a human is dancing, another human is dancing, and they connect, they go become friends for life, So you're totally right, this power of art. And I think that's exactly why that we need to continue, like you said, like continue, it's important. And especially to really speak for the issues that is happening now. And it's very much relevant topic, what you just put it out there.
Yeah. Like, I want to say, like, just before I finish, about Del Tabra, I think the last year I was there, I like one thing. You see this, they have this little square with the arrows of the countries. Like, I've been going there, like, not so regular, but then, like, I never really saw that there was, like, Mozambique in there. And I was like, whoa, we got Mozambique in here with the direction, and you go that way to get to Mozambique. Yeah. And then I'm like, wow, okay, at least there is one. This is the thing that, like, at least you see one and you get happy. It is great that, Del Tabra, focus also in bringing people, artists from a lot of parts of the world, and my biggest wish is balance, that you go to a festival, and you see that there is a balance in there of countries, color, communities, yeah, you enter in the studio and you see that there are a bit more, Black people, or, people colored people, I would say, even maybe in that way. So it would be like really, really, really great to, you know, to see more of that. You see, sometimes you enter in the studio or you enter in the airplane, you're the only one in there. You know, you're like, what's wrong with the world? You know, like, whoa, whoa, what happened? You know, and let's see what is going to happen in the next place. We're still here to help. You know, like you're doing, you know, the festival in Sanskar, you know, to really help. You know, and we're also doing. Unfortunately, we don't have the how do you say the financial support, because that's what it, you know, pretty much talks nowadays. You know, if we would have more budget, we would look even more for, you know, like artists, like, you know, in Asia, in the countries of Asia, and also in the countries of Africa, to come and even collaborate, you know, a bit more with, you know, places that have a bit more space and conditions.